this year.
First pitch swinging, line drive, he's done it. John Means has no-hit the Mariners. They go! Brown fakes, dishes, Kyrie going for the 50-piece. Irving has 50!
Pressure from the Steelers. Mayfield in trouble, and he's going to be taken down. Who else but T.J. Watt?
First downs on this drive. Heineke, end zone, McLaurin, touchdown!
Torres drives that ball center field, hit deep, going back near the wall. Wilkerson, maybe, nope, goodbye, home run. Get him out of there! Don't throw to him.
I never seen anything like
Put
it.
up four fingers.
I've never seen anything like it.
He is just tearing the Orioles apart.
Jonathan Taylor, goodbye, touchdown, Indy, as he crossed the tape at the goal line. 78 yards.
And here we go.
All right, and we're back for another episode of the Sports Apartment Podcast, and the trade deadline in baseball has come and gone a little bit later this year. So we're here to break down all the moves that were made and the ones that were surprisingly not made at the same time. It's Justin and Steve just for this one, because Clark is still getting over some of his COVID things, which at this rate, by the time all these podcasts come out, he would have had it for about 3 months, it seems like, but he's doing just fine, getting over the little symptoms.
And Jesse can't handle the downfall of the White Sox.
Jesse just doesn't know baseball. So we're here at least, and we're taking a break from our division breakdowns, which at this point we're in the middle of the Norths. Yay, because those are the divisions we care about, but those are going to start coming out throughout the summer till we get to kickoff. But here we are for the trade deadline, and us working at the old network now, we're like, oh, this is probably gonna be a chaotic one, and for the most part it was pretty nutty. A lot of big names shockingly got moved. The Padres were obviously the most aggressive. Then you had teams who overvalued their players and didn't trade them at all and are kind of hanging in the wind, not really sure what they're doing. But before we get into all of that, Steve, how you feeling about the deadline?
I'm feeling good. A lot of teams bolstered up, made the moves they needed to make. Some teams probably could have did a little bit more and didn't. So, kind of looking at the division race now, it's, the East is probably set, hopefully for the AL. The Centrals are both pretty close. NL East, close. AL West is obviously done. NL West, done. So these are wild card teams that are going to be fighting for a couple last spots. So a lot of big names were on the move, couple overpays, but the whole Soto stuff was just crazy. So
let's just lead off with that and talk about Juan Soto. It was, will they, won't they, will they eventually, when will they do it? And that was the inevitable of trading Juan Soto for the Nationals, and everyone, thought, oh, let's not rush into it. Let's not get a package that's kind of half-assed. Let's, I was one that think they should have traded and waited for the offseason and actually do the due diligence, but they felt comfortable enough getting the package that they did from the Padres, which was Soto and Bell for 6 players, essentially, which was James Wood, C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, Luke Voigt, and a few other prospects as well. Ultimately, the first deal was Hosmer. He did not want to go there, so he then swapped out. And
new duel.
Poor old Luke Voigt got thrown into the deal and sent out to Washington. So they are hitting the hard reset button. But now the Padres get 2 shiny new toys in Bell and Soto from the Padres, from the Nationals. But we would have thought, oh, maybe they were done, and they were not. They went out and got Brandon Drury from the Reds and Josh Hader, shockingly, from the Brewers.
There's the one I forgot.
Yeah, Bologna made the rundown for this one for us, and he forgot Josh Hader. So they went out and got a first baseman, an outfielder, a closer, and a rotational infielder as well. In the Hader deal, I don't even know, but they got Denilson Lamet. They DFA'd him today, so that's a thing. And they got a few other prospects. So the Brewers don't know why they decided to trade him now when his value was kind of at an all-time low for what he has been. But they also got Trevor Rogers back, who sucks. The Padres made out like bandits this trade deadline and significantly improved it. Now, does this even the odds immediately with the Dodgers? That is yet to be seen. But initial thought on these flurry of moves.
First off, on the Soto deal, I think the Nationals got a really good package in return.
Yeah, they got a core. Like, they got a young core now. They got a shortstop.
A Gore. They got a Gore too.
Well, we were talking about it. Josiah Gray and Mackenzie Gore is not a horrible 1-2 future down the line of two starters. Obviously, you have Strasburg, who's basically retired. Patrick Corbin, they're stuck with for another 30 years, it seems like. So they don't count. But like Gore and Gray, that's a fun little, duo. And then you have
Abrams,
CJ
will be your everyday shortstop.
Brady House will probably rotate around the infield. So there's your infielders at that point. Luke Voigt, he'll hit bombs. He'll be a fun little player for him. Sucks that he's there.
Well,
but
I'm happy because he'll actually be able to play first base every day.
Well, just by getting traded there, he's already their best player. Like he's already the face of the Nationals, as sad as that is. Like right now. Like that sucks. James Wood, big time power, big time outfielder potentially.
Compared to Willie McCovey.
Exactly. So him and Elijah Green down the road could be a fun outfield. So like the pieces are slowly coming in place for the Nationals. It's just in 4 to 5 years when they'll all be up there. And that's, of course, with them tanking and being in contention for a 3-1 pick at that point. Another time in their franchise, because at this point they've had like 4. It seems like it's going to be a rough patch, but I think they made out well.
Yeah. And they got a couple other like decent top 10 prospects. Nationals, I mean, sucks. It does.
No, I've been there. You trade your best player, you hit the reset button. And like for me, it was Mancini you held on to. They get to hold on to Luke Voigt. Like that sucks. And like the thing that sucks with the Nationals, it's like you lost Harper, you lost Rendon, you basically lost Strasburg, you lost Trey Turner,
Scherzer,
you lost Max Scherzer, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
So it's like this could have been the one they actually kept, and he's gone.
Well, it didn't. It kind of, once it came out publicly that they were looking to trade him, and then Soto is not happy about that. That's kind of when the turmoil. It's straw that broke.
Well, once they went through multiple contract negotiations, and once it became public, that's it. That's similar to what's happening with the Yankees right now. Once those numbers become public and each side tries to paint the other as the bad guy, that relationship is severed for all intents and purposes at that point.
And it's odd because they're only paying Strasburg, so like they have the money, obviously.
Well, and Corbin, but it's just like that's $70 million right there. But it's just like it sucks. It just sucks that they had to do it. But I think they'll be okay. But once again, it's gonna be a rough.
It's gonna be a few years,
4 to 5 years before we're even talking about them being relevant again.
At this point, you're looking for Abrams to become a better hitter and Gore to stay healthy. And he looked good in a lot of starts this year. So they definitely have some pieces. Keibert looks really good. Josiah Gray, you have to figure it out.
Like they're still in a better place than the Athletics are.
Yeah.
Like by far. Like they at least they have multitude of assets now. Like this did replenish their farm system for the most part, right? But it's just they're all so young and they're all so far out.
Yep, it's going to be 3-4 years before they're back into decent contention. And Juan Soto walked in his first at bat as a Padre. I'm watching that now, so already got their money's worth.
OBP, baby, that's all that matters.
Now, if you're the Padres, just lock them up. You got your core 3 for the next
10 years.
10, yeah. I mean, Manny, year 3 of 10?
Well, and I think he had an out after like 6, but at that point,
yeah, he won't.
He's making 30. He's not going to get more than 30 million. And it's like, oh, people are like, oh, they can't afford him. Bullshit. They can afford him. Baseball isn't a luxury tax sport. It's a luxury tax sport. It's not a salary cap sport, which means as much as the owners want to pay, they can pay. You don't make this move for Juan Soto, who is age, 24, 23?
23.
At that point, you don't make this move for, yes, they have a 3-year window with team control that they're going to try to win a World Series with him. Great. You don't sell your top prospects and go all in like they did to have the slightest chance of him leaving. We said that with Mookie Betts, right? When he went to the Dodgers, like, oh my God, how are they going to afford him? They found a way. They paid for him, right?
Always find a way.
Exactly. They will lock him up. He will go into the Hall of Fame as a Padre. It's as simple as that. He will spend the next 10 to 15 years in San Diego. It's as simple as that. Maybe the extension doesn't come now. It doesn't come this offseason. Maybe next offseason it's come. And that's okay because they have time to figure it out. And if they're starting a whole new chapter with him, the toxicity that they had with Washington, that's gone. This is a whole new front office. He's winning. He's competing. He'll be happy. He's with Tatis. He's with Machado. It's a good team. They will pay him. He'll be happy.
End of story. I agree. Soto, incredible piece. Now the Padres got to make the playoffs. They picked up Brandon Drury, who can play pretty much anywhere, and Josh Hader, who the Brewers finally ripped the Band-Aid off and got rid of.
Okay.
They have Devin Williams.
That's the thing. They have to be content with Devin Williams thinking he's ready to be the guy to close games out.
Yeah.
But I still don't get why you trade literally the best lefty reliever in baseball. I get he's had a rough stretch, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Especially when they're up 3 games in the freaking Central right now. They're winning the division. They are currently leading the division. It does make sense.
On more on the Soto stuff, I really thought he was going to be a Cardinal. The report is that the Cardinals were unwilling to part with Dylan Carlson, which, I mean,
how do you fuck that up? How do you I really don't if you're getting Juan Soto, literally probably the best pure hitter of this generation, and you have the opportunity to get him, anyone's expendable, honest to God, at that point.
You're right. So the Cardinals miss out, but the Padres take advantage, trading for a bunch of impact players, and just got to get to the playoffs at this point. Division race is probably out, but just got to get to the playoffs. That's all that matters.
Exactly. And a team that's pretty locked up in their division race for the most part, you're getting a little nervous. So is the New York Yankees. They acquired Benintendi, Frankie Montes, Trevino, Efros, and the most head scratching move of the entire deadline for honestly across the entire league, Jordan Montgomery straight up for Harrison Bader. Obviously the outs are then Montgomery. Waldichuk went out in a deal. Who did he go?
Athletics.
Ooh.
He was the key piece of the Montes deal.
Sorry for him. And then Joey Gallo, he was not DFA'd. He was not released. He was sent out to the Dodgers, which this was a stupid ass move on their part. They don't need him. What does he offer them? Who knows? But the Montgomery for Bader deal does not look good for Cashman now, especially it seemed like they were trying to replace Montgomery with Pablo Lopez from the Marlins. They pulled out. Deadline came, 6 o'clock. Boom, you're stuck with Harrison Bader now. You have a 4th, 5th outfielder at that point, and you're down to the starting pitch.
I wouldn't call Bader a 4th, 5th outfielder. I mean, he's a true starting center fielder.
Yeah, but you didn't necessarily need him, though.
No, you didn't. The report is that they thought they had a deal for Pablo Lopez. There's a deadline. You got to get it in before the deadline, and they did not. Benintendi was a good move. The fact that the Yankees made all these moves while keeping Volpe, Dominguez, and both Oswalds is pretty incredible.
Well, that just shows also how not aggressive they necessarily were either. They were doing moves that were within their means and that they wanted to make, right?
Yeah.
That's that's why you get a Bader for Montgomery, because you didn't necessarily give up maybe one of the Boswalds at that point, right? But now you're down a starter, and when we're recording this, Garrett Cole just got rocked for 6 runs by the Mariners, which that's not a great look. But now it's just like, okay, you have Montas, Cole, and Tyone, but then it's like, who's your 4 and 5?
Yeah, Nestor.
Yeah,
Sevy's out until it's weird. They put him on the 60-day IL, and he apparently says he feels fine. So don't really know what's going on there.
But then it's like you have Herman.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be Herman's gonna have to, and they traded JP Sears in the Oakland deal, so that's spot starter gone.
They made good depth moves and moves that they needed to make, but they're okay. They're fine. They're good moves. You can't really criticize them. Gallo replacing or Bader replacing Gallo, that's an upgrade. Montas coming into the rotation, that's an upgrade. Efros and Trevino going to the bullpen, significant upgrades. Benintendi in the outfield, significant upgrade. They were good moves, but just a few head scratchers.
Well, the Jordan Montgomery move, again, it sucks to lose a starting pitcher, but we have to realize he's solid. He was a good 4.
Exactly.
They're not giving up Severino for Bader straight up. Monty was always good for giving up 5 runs in the first 5 innings. He was okay. So it sucks they let him go. I'm happy with the moves the Yankees did. You kind of look at the roster, and it's basically taken its shape. Your bench bats are going to be Higashioka / Trevino, Marwin Gonzalez, and Matt Carpenter, who's just insane somehow.
Yeah.
So,
and it's Hicks, depending on the outfield alignment, they'll be fine. this is a ALCS and higher roster at that point, and that's what they just try to reinforce and get to at this point, because it's like, how does this compare to the Astros? Is really what it is in the AL.
Yeah, and I think if you roll out 3 games, let's say 4 games, Cole, Montes, Severino, Nestor, that's a competitive top 4 against
that's
the Astros.
That's a good there's
Cole Verlander, like that's
the issue is just there's very little room for error. Like, you can't have Cole go out there and lay an egg like he did in the wild card game, because it's like you're in a tough spot then at that point, especially if they're avoiding the wild card game this year. You need them for a full freaking game to at least save your bullpen at that point, because you play a whole series. Yeah,
2 in a 7 game,
because you play a series then at that point. So good moves on the Yankees though.
I'm feeling okay about the division race. It's just
such a hard division.
It's just Toronto's 10 back. Yankees have a really tough schedule coming up.
Baltimore's ready for liftoff. So, here we go.
I could just see the Yankees losing, 8 out of 10 in 2 weeks. Toronto winning 8 out of 10, and it's a 5-game race now.
Yeah,
with a whole month to go. So that's what really is going to scare me.
That's what really is. They just have to tread water, play like 500 baseball, honestly, and just worry about taking 2 out of 3, 2 out of 4. Don't really lose too many series and just kind of stay the course and just get to the postseason healthy is all what they really have to.
You got to win the division.
Yes.
They've got St. Louis coming up, and another 3-game set with Seattle, Boston, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Mets, and then Oakland and the Angels to close out August. So, luckily, Oakland and the A's should be 7 wins right there.
Mm-hmm.
Boston should be another 3. Tampa should be 2 out of 3. 4-game set with Toronto, that's going to be a big deal. You got to at least split that. Mets are 2 games. But, September looks meh. Boston, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh. It looks okay, but I'm just nervous because I've seen this before, and I have a feeling it's going to happen.
You're just dreading it. Is really what it is.
Yeah, they need to be up by at least 8 at the start of September to feel comfortable.
Yeah. So let's talk about just a few other kind of not major blockbuster moves that we see the Padres make, or filling out your roster similar to the Yankees. Some other just good moves. And that was the first domino to go, or at least in the first wave of trades, was Luis Castillo from the Reds got traded to the Mariners for 3 prospects, mainly being the Mariners' number 1 prospect, Noel Marte, which is a great get for them for their middle infield of the future with Ellie De La Cruz and then Marte as well. But they got another pitcher, which, they are just trying to get as many arms as possible now, it seems. And it paid off because today he beat the Yankees.
Yeah. It's just 1-year rental potentially, like you really banking that he's going to re-sign.
But didn't the Cubs give up? Wasn't Glaber at the time the Cubs' number 1 prospect when they gave him up for
Chapman?
Yeah,
but again, they got the ring.
Exactly.
Really going to win a World Series? No, probably not. Let's be honest here.
At this point, the Mariners are just trying to get to the postseason. Like that is the goal: postseason or bust.
Robbie Ray, Castillo, and Logan Gilbert. And then your 4th is probably Marco Gonzalez. That's not winning you a playoff series. I'm sorry. No. So I get the move. I would have thought that this move just skyrocketed Montes' value and trade value, but clearly not. So you better hope he re-signs or you win a ring. That's simple as that. JP Crawford's good. But, when you hear about Noel Marte, you just hear a consistent 5-tool player.
Yeah.
So
just elite level potential. And I hope whatever they figured his value was for Castillo and their goal, they reach it, because at that point it's going to sting if not. But at the same time, does he necessarily fit into the long-term picture for the Mariners? I don't know. But when a guy is that high of potential, you figure out how to get him into the lineup every day. So they must feel okay, or they feel like they can sign him as well. We talked about it with Soto. Obviously, this is a much smaller scale trade, but it's your number 1 prospect, and he's, potentially your future. Maybe they think they have a good shot at signing Castillo. And if that's the case, maybe it makes it sting a little bit less.
Yeah, agreed.
So the New York Mets, they thought that they were going to go all in. They were potentially getting Soto. They were
Because
potentially
everyone wants to be a Met, so you would have thought that.
exactly. They were going to get Mancini. They were going to get Josh Bell. They're going to have 36 first basemen on the active roster out of 26 available players. But here they are. They ended up with Darren Ruff, Daniel Vogelbach, Michael Givens, and they traded away some prospects. And JD Davis is gone.
Oh,
So they got good players. They also got Tyler Naquin, and someone else who sucks, I think. I don't know. But here they are. Darren Ruff kills lefties. Vogelbach, pretty good bench bat. Michael Givens didn't have a good outing today.
they already gave up a run.
That tenure, couldn't get out of a 8-run lead, I think, going into the 9th. So, okay. But the Mets, how do you feel about their deadline?
But they could have did more. I thought, looking now, you got Vogelbach.
Oh, cool. Brandon Drury hit a grand slam.
Of course he did.
Got an email about that one.
Vogelbach, you look at the Mets roster, Pete Alonso, what can he do? First base or DH. Vogelbach, what can he do? First base or DH. Darren Ruff, what can he do? First base or DH. They have 3 of the same players on the same team. With Ruff and Vogelbach, you get significantly less consistent hitting than Pete and just terrible defense.
At that point, though, they're trying to play the platoon game of bench bats that you sub in and out, and they play like an inning or two of defense if they had to. Most notably, they probably won't see the field because Pete's probably going to be the everyday first baseman. And at that point, they're just DHing. So you're platooning DHs.
I don't know. I think there was more pressing needs.
And it seems like because they didn't get Contreras, and offensively they didn't get JD Martinez for a DH or a Christian Vasquez. They tried to like moneyball it, and similar to like what the Braves did last year with build an entire outfield to like do what Acuna does in one. They did with 3 players of Soler, Rosario, and Peterson. They tried to do here with a DH spot. We'll see if it pays off, but it was a fine. It was a whatever. It was a lackluster really. For the Mets.
They filled some needs. I know they were really in on Fulmer and Chafin to the end there, but did not end up with them. And I think Contreras was just a little too expensive. So
yeah.
But again, he'll be a Met in the offseason. So it's all good.
Keeping it though in the NL East. A similar or a familiar face is coming back to the NL East, and that is Noah Syndergaard. Was traded from the Angels to the Phillies, so he is going to be visiting Citi Field eventually at some point. It's just going to happen. David Robertson,
someone who's going to get sick like the day before that start and get scratched again like he did the last time.
Oh, who knows? David Robertson is back with the Phils, and then shocking, very just kind of surprising move is Brandon Marsh was traded from the Angels to the Phillies, primarily a good defender with some hitting, but the Phillies get someone who's actually capable of playing defense in the outfield, at least now. While they're waiting for Harper, they're going for it. They're not trying to necessarily sell. They're trying to stay afloat. They're trying to get to the wild card race. They got 2 good arms, a decent bat, so they're still trying. They're not giving up.
And they're in the wild card race. I think they're holding on to the last spot at the moment. The Marsh trade just came out of nowhere. I mean, the Angels wasn't he like a top prospect for them like 2 years ago?
And it's like Joe Adele hasn't been anything special for them. It's like, bad. Okay, maybe if Adele was good and you bring that on an act, you can put him in. But it's like, okay, I guess they're high on Taylor Ward to keep. Obviously, you have Mike Trout, but it's like still want a 4th or 5th outfielder. And it's like Brandon Marsh and Joe Adele could platoon. But it's like, okay, they just traded him away. Cool.
Yep. Cindergard's a good one. They needed a pitcher. Him and Wheeler back together, so that's cool.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw, he tweeted last night. Syndergaard, he was like, "This is awkward," and it was a video of him beating up the Philly fanatic.
Yeah.
So that was cool. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Just hopefully he works out. Robertson back to the Phils after he
tore his UCL with him.
Yep, robbed him of some money. Good pen piece for them. Just got to get Bryce back. Got to get Bryce back and keep winning. I know they beat the Braves today.
And that's all that matters.
On the day the great Vince Scully passes, Castellanos has to hit his first home run since June.
Great.
So, yeah. Hey, touching on that, I mean, Vince Scully, rest in peace. Terrible loss. Yeah. One of the great voices of baseball. I mean, I was like watching all the stuff on MLB Network last night. I mean, you're talking about
you were getting it ready to be played on MLB Network.
Calling Don Larson's perfect game.
He was everywhere. He was honestly
7/15th. Bill Buckner through the legs. Like it's crazy.
Like he was baseball's Forrest Gump. He was at like every major like event in like baseball history. He was there practically.
It was
I
awesome.
saw a thing. He called like 3 perfect games, 26 World Series games, 67 seasons as a broadcaster. How many just timeless moments he was there for? It's insane, and it
Yeah.
sucks. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's been retired for I think 5-6 years at that point, but 94. It's very sad.
Yes, it is. So rest in peace to the great Vince Scully.
So then back to the trade deadline. The Orioles, will they, won't they?
Baby.
What are they doing? How are they going to approach the deadline? At the time of the deadline, they were 2.5 out from a wild card race, 1 game over 500. Maybe they keep Trey. Maybe they sell some other pieces. Nope, they rip the Band-Aid off, kick us in the nuts, and spit on our face. And they trade Trey Mancini away to the Houston Astros, who in his first hit with the Astros was a home run over the Crawford boxes, which someone, of course, brought up. If that was in Camden Yards, would not have been a home run.
Yeah.
So he's already benefiting from new stadium. And then they also trade away Jorge Lopez to the Minnesota Twins. So combined between them, they got 6 pitching arms back, a majority of which are they have high potential. And we also got Brett Phillips, which does not make any sense to me because we have Ryan McKenna, who's a 4th outfielder, much better hitter. Brett Phillips played today. He pinch hit for Ryan McKenna and he played the outfield. Cool. He's a vibes guy. He hits 150. He has 3 home runs on the year. What the fuck does he do? We have Yosniel Diaz, who came up. They sent him back down. We have Kyle Sowers, who has 18 home runs in the minor league, still down there. I don't know necessarily what this does. The Orioles, they said today, Mike Elias, they're ready for liftoff, that they're going to make competitive moves. They want to sign players in the offseason. So I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're 2 games over 500 now, and they're a game and a half out of the wild card berth. And we're still doing this to have, God, imagine we play the Twins or the Astros in the postseason and have to deal with either of these players. I wish we had kept them. I understand they want to stay the course and they're ready to compete next year, but it's literally 2 months. You're already a better team that you anticipated yourself to be at this point. They're still winning. They swept the Rangers. Like, what are we doing? Like, can we please compete? Of course, that's why Elias came out today and said, we're competing now. It's like, okay, well, what the fuck are we doing if we traded our closer and our DH away? So, but we're competing now, as if we weren't competing this whole season.
Odd moves. Thought they could have got back some more.
Yeah. Like they honestly went for quantity arms over quality arms at that point. Because you got 6 for 2 players.
I'm surprised they didn't take back 6 shortstops.
No, that's the one thing they don't need.
I'm shocked.
We got our closer and Brett Phillips back, so that's fine.
Sucks for the O's. I assume Bautista is going to be the new closer, right?
Yep. Gave up a home run today as well.
Oof, cut him.
Oh, and today, as we're recording this, Mancini hit a home run with the Astros, and Jorge Lopez got the save for the Twins. So,
gotta love it. Odd moves, but good for the Twins and good for the Astros.
And good for the Orioles long term if they pan out.
Hopefully.
Yeah. As one gets Tommy John. That little note. And then staying in the AL East, the Blue Jays, they made some moves. They got Anthony Bass, Zach Pop, also a former Oriole, in the Machado deal that keeps on giving at this point. And they also got Whit Merrifield, who is unvaccinated, and I assume he's going to get vaccinated now that he's with the Blue Jays. Don't necessarily needed Merrifield, nonetheless, but they got 2 good arms out of the pen to help, Romano and so forth out of the pen. So, they're trying to stay afloat. They're trying to compete. They're trying to get to the playoffs. These moves just kind of help with that.
Yeah, good moves. Bass has been really good past few years. Merrifield is odd one.
He hasn't been good this year either, though.
Yeah, he's good for a consistent single every now and then. Odd moves, but they gave up Jordan Groshans, one of their top or better prospects. So good for the Marlins, I guess.
It happens. And then the Minnesota Twins, they got Tyler Mahle, Michael Fulmer, and you forgot Jorge Lopez as well.
Actually, I did not, because I said earlier.
Oh, see, you didn't have him with the full Twins. See, I would go team by team. You won who got traded away.
Well, then I'd be doubling up at that point with names.
No, Zoom does not give free unlimited time for 2 people anymore in a thing, so that's cool. So Twins, they got pitching arms. I feel like they've always been looking for pitching for the past 10 years. They're trying to win the Central, which it's theirs right now to lose, really. So
how about Cleveland not doing anything, or the White Sox?
I'm surprised. Like Cleveland, they could have gotten like a Contreras. White Sox are a hot mess at this point. So I don't know if they even want to try anymore, because that team is just too good to be as bad as they are. Yeah.
odd stuff.
Very. And then rounding a few things out, Braves, they trade for Raciel Iglesias, swapped Will Smith for Jake Rizzi, so they got arms. Cool.
And they also got Robbie Grossman. Sorry about that one.
Yeah, that's right up there with Hader. How do you forget that? And then the few moves that weren't surprisingly made, last year was Trevor Story not getting traded from the Rockies. Contreras and Happ are still Cubs. Rodon, apparently his price was way too high from the Giants. And then Jock Peterson was not moved as well. And then the major three on the Red Sox, JD, Bogarts, and Devers all stayed put as well. But they did trade away Christian Vasquez.
In the middle of BP. Oh, that's got to suck.
Indeed it do.
Good trade deadline. Pretty crazy. I'd say my winner is obviously the Padres. Yankees had a good one. I really think the Mets should have done more.
I think so too. I think honestly, loser-wise, probably up there with the Mets just for big splash, home run, sexy moves. They didn't really do much. This is what they were expected to do, but also the biggest winner of regardless is the Padres. They got Josh Hader and Juan Soto. Like Juan Soto alone would have whoever got Juan Soto won the deadline at that point.
Yeah. I'm trying. I really can't think of any other teams. It's so funny that Oakland traded away Montes and then just nothing.
Yes.
I'm surprised Sean Murphy didn't get moved.
Ramon Laureano. How do you not dumble? No.
The Brewers didn't do anything other than Hader either.
No, they didn't.
St. Louis got Montgomery and Quintana. It was a good trade deadline. So now it's just who is going to make the playoffs. I mean, as it currently stands, I think Yankees, Astros meet up in the ALCS. I think Dodgers easily make the NLCS, and at that point, it's just a matter of who gets the matchup between Mets, Padres, and Braves. Could we also I think it's fair to say, Braves GM Alex Anthopoulos is the best GM in baseball.
He's wheeling and dealing,
and he signed Austin Riley to do a 10-year, $200.
He has Olsen, Riley, Albies, and Acuna all locked up for the foreseeable future on team-friendly deals. For the most part, basically, I don't think any of them really making over 25 million, or at least over 30 million. Albies is barely making over 3 million. So their core is locked up to be a consistent playoff team for at least 5 years.
They are Spencer Strider out of nowhere.
The Braves are built to last.
Michael Harris, he's awesome. So props to the Braves. Can they catch the Mets, though? That's the real question. They got a series coming up.
It'll be interesting down the stretch. So I think that's all I have for the trade deadline. What about you? Any last thoughts?
I don't think so.
Cool. So you can hit us with an outro.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure to follow us on all our socials. That will be in the link in our bio. Right? Isn't it? I hope it's
It's there.
Okay. But again, thank you all so much for listening. Got some more NFL stuff coming out soon. We're going to be breaking down the final North of AFC North. I don't really know anything about wrestling. Probably not, right?
Probably not wrestling for a while. They don't have a pay-per-view in August, so we'll do wrestling in September.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Going to sell, finally.
No, it's Extreme Rules. I don't know.
I don't know.
They move around so much. Vince is gone. That's all it matters.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you the next one.